Hey everyone, it's Tuesday, September 15th, 2020, and you are listening to the MC Gamescast. I am one of your hosts, Mitchell Barrett, and I am joined by the other host of the MC's Gamescast, ladies and gentlemen, Charlie Zarzuela. Charlie, the Stars are going to the Stanley Cup Finals!
We're not going home.
We're not going home! Oh, man.
Yeah, we're going to be going through a lot of that over the next few weeks.
Oh, man, so exciting. I'm so excited. Charlie, we were fans of the team back in 1999 when they won the Cup, and then unfortunately were unable to defend the Cup. It's nice for them to be back. This is a very likable team. We got Dobie between the pipes, Jamie Benn, a man of few words, and all the rest. Fantastic. Such a fun game last night, Charlie. How you doing, bud?
Awesome, man. I'm loving life. For what 2020 has delivered us, this is like the little ray of sunshine that at least people in North Texas can dwell themselves and hang their hats on.
Yeah.
Their Dallas Stars hats on.
Yeah, because, I mean, the Mavericks got expectedly taken out of the first round of their series, and the Rangers might as well not even be playing. And, of course, the Cowboys, of course they lost their first game. But who cares? The Stars are in the Stanley Cup Finals, and we are excited. How was your weekend?
It was good, long as per the usual. I did some stuff. I watched a lot of movies, which will explain some of my games participation over the last week. Watched quite a bit of hockey, watched quite a bit of football. Already lost my first round draft pick to injury.
Of course.
Excellent.
Of course. Actually, Charlie, you mentioned the movies thing, and actually probably later on when we get to the topic of the show, we'll talk about something that we're going to be doing in the next couple weeks that actually you viewers watching live here on twitch.tv/Team Llama Squad and on twitch.tv/Charzar81. We are going to maybe do a little play along with you guys in some TV shows and movies based on video games over the next couple weeks. So stay tuned for that, which Charlie will get into a little bit in what we've been playing, and then of course later on. You feeling better, buddy, after last week?
I am doing loads better. My throat is clear. My headaches are gone. My fever is down. Got negative diagnosis of the COVID-19, which is good. It's been a topsy-turvy last couple of weeks. I'm glad to have my strength back up again. Ready to play some video games again, ready to have some fun again rather than having to go through this what if, oh God, this is crazy BS. So
yeah, and as we will see in the new releases later on, and some other things, we're in it. We are in the fall release season, and you and I definitely have some games coming up that we're definitely looking forward to. And of course, we got new consoles, which we'll get into a little bit, and much more. But
what did you do this weekend, bro?
Fucking nothing. As you know, Charlie, which you'll be making your reemergence very soon, I assume. Most of us returned to the office after many months off working from home. So I did a little bit of preparing to go back to the office, get all my stuff ready to go, laundry. I hadn't washed my work stuff since, I guess it would have been mid-July when we ended up back home, so I had a lot of laundry. It was actually very nice being back in the office, seeing people I hadn't seen Chris since then. I mean, I aside from the random house party app here and there.
Every other month appearance.
Yeah, and hopefully this Friday. He says he wants to. Yeah,
We all got stuff, man.
yeah,
Totally
and
understand.
so he wasn't even in town this weekend, so that's
Yeah.
why. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But it was good to see people. It was good to be normal. It was good to be. I don't want this to sound callous. It was good to be away from the kids. Um,
Was that the first time that you visited the office? How long has it been?
so I believe it was July 14th was when the office announced if you want to work from home, go work from home. And so that Monday, I went home and I haven't been back since.
Okay.
So
What did you think of those monitors? The
the temperature monitors and stuff,
Yeah.
pretty cool. That's cool. It's real neat. Yeah, you walk into the hallway from the garage and it's got this big it almost you know what it kind of looks like? I don't know if you've ever been to the optometrist, Charlie, but it looks like the thing that they put on your face to test your eyesight kind of from
Okay.
far away. And you just walk up and like a little green light flashes if your temperature is normal, and if it's red
Yeah.
then it's not, and then you scan your card to say that you're not sick, and then you walk in and that's it. It's neat. It's a cool little probably not very cheap piece of technology, and
No.
they've got it at the front desk, and then coming in from the garage. But yeah, it was nice to be back. It was nice to have a little bit of time away from the kids, because it's been 2.5 months or I guess 2 months of nothing but me and the kids. So it was nice to get
Yep.
away. It was nice not have to worry about doing remote school with the kid. So yeah, it was a good weekend. It was good to be back. But enough about that. Let's talk video games. Charlie, why don't you
Yeah.
go ahead and get us? Actually, you know what, Charlie? Let me get started.
Are you sure?
Let me get started because I
Because
don't
my
have.
bag is damn near empty.
Yeah, well, I mean, my bag is like, it might. I only put this on here because I needed something.
Yeah.
I got back into Apex Legends over the weekend. Oh, hi, Vamp, Charlie.
Um, okay, so it seems like Mitch got back into Apex Legends. If you guys have been watching any of my streams at Charizard81, I finally beat Doom last Sunday. It wasn't a late night stream. It was definitely I wanted to watch the Dallas Cowboys play.
You might as
I
well
would have been
play
better off
Doom.
streaming. But anyway, not going to dwell on that. Yeah, had a lot of fun with that. A lot of fun playing Doom 2, the classic one from back in the 90s. I think that's actually the first time. So I've beaten it before on Ultra Violence, but actually the first time that I went in and did the secret levels for
Right.
you guys
You did the
during
hunt.
that run.
You did the hundred
So
percenter.
yeah, I did. I completed everything. Well,
Well,
save for
yeah.
certain enemies or whatever. I
You played
completed
100% of the levels.
correct.
Yeah.
And then, as you know, I've been playing NCAA 14. That thing's been a little bit frustrating, but the chat's been fun. So that's actually pushed me through along.
Best stream ever.
Yeah, that
Oh,
was really,
it was
really
so
good.
much fun.
I honestly didn't want it to end. Unfortunately, I had to go to work in the
Right.
morning, and
And you're still
but
kind of under the weather. Yeah, that was fun though.
yeah, of course, and of course, like I'm in the peak of my COVID slash flu slash allergy slash sinus slash whatever I had,
Right.
and I could barely talk. So, what I have been playing, and to be honest, when I say playing, I say it loosely. I've been watching a lot of movies this weekend. For some reason, like the movie bug kind of hit me, and for some reason, it had to do with video games. So I decided, hey, let's watch Resident Evil. I love Resident Evil because my brother at Joe Shizzle 2323, check out his stream. It's awesome.
Hell yeah.
He just finished Resident Evil 7. Now he's going through RE3. Um, I dove into RE, the movie, and I forgot how 90s that movie is.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not here to talk about movies. I also watched Doom, the movie, the classic with The Rock and Carl Urban and the violating chick from what was that Ben Affleck movie in the wine bottle?
Oh, Gone Girl.
Yeah, Gone Girl. Yeah, she's in it.
Great movie.
I totally
Horrible
forgot
scene.
about that. Gone Girl is Doom, no. But during that time, obviously, I've been watching a lot of hockey, a lot of sports, and because of that, my attention span for playing video games has pretty much been nil.
Sure.
So I went back, and I'm a Godzilla fan. I've been a Godzilla fan since I was like 4 or 5 years old.
Who isn't?
My older cousin like showed me these things. I didn't care the fact that they were English dubbed or that it was a guy in a suit or anything. It was awesome because it was a big dinosaur, breathing fire and blowing shit up. And there's this tapper game. It's a clicker. It's called
Okay.
Godzilla Defense Force.
Sure.
It is not a great game. It is the biggest time suck ever. However, because I am a Godzilla fan, it's fun.
Yeah.
You're just constantly so the idea of the game is that you're have several cities that have defenses set up, and a minor monsters will come and they'll attack, and you're just constantly tapping the screen to, one, get currency, two, build up troops, three, they'll attack the monsters. Everything is automated, and you are constantly leveling up your defenses, you are leveling up your infantry, you are building tank defenses where it produces tanks for you, aircraft defenses, etc., etc. Again, it's all tapping. It's not rocket science. And then every now and then a kaiju will appear. One of the classic kaiju will appear that you haven't seen since you were a kid. One of the new ones will appear that you're like, oh, this is a brand new one, or this is a new spin on one, etc. And that is pretty much the premise of the game. You're collecting cards that give your defense troops boosts, and the cards are pretty cool. Like, if for every card you collect, there's a little blurb on the back of each card that gives you a little insight on, like, oh, okay, it's basically the history of, or just some little like fun fact that
That
the
sounds.
writers and creators dug up.
Yeah, that sounds
So
cool. A couple questions, if you don't mind.
no, go right ahead.
Uh, Phone or PC?
It's on my iPhone,
Okay.
and it's for
Uh, Two is the design based on the old movies, the new stuff, or does it have its own style?
it. I mean, to be honest, the animation of it is very simple. It covers all the styles from the 1960s Godzilla to, it doesn't have Godzilla 2016,
Okay.
but it goes prior to that. It's like basically um, in the early 2000s Godzillas that
Does
came out only for Toho.
it
Josh
doesn't?
could probably spot check me on that, but it's like the way that they've drawn up all the characters. You can recognize each, like, there's different versions of every Godzilla. I mean, obviously the Godzilla costumes have changed throughout the years, and you can recognize the Godzilla costumes based upon how they're drawn, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And there are different cards and card sets and power sets for each version of Godzilla that comes along. So it's kind of this like cool collectible thing. If you're a fan of Godzilla, it's fun to play. It's a nice time suck away while you're watching hockey on TV, or while you're watching football, or while you're watching a really really bad video game movie.
Yeah.
But it's fun, and like the microtransactions aren't, they're not very intrusive at all. Gosh, I can feel Josh just proliferating the chat.
Love you, Josh.
I love you, brother, man. Oh
Keep it up.
gosh. Yeah, they're not very intrusive. They're there. You can get them. I have not paid one,
Yeah.
dime for this game at all. Obviously, it's one of those systems where if you want to, level up faster, or there's a system in the game where that, like, if you reach a point where you can no longer progress, just because the tapping system that is in place. You can only tap your buttons, your fingers, so many times, and the monsters become so powerful they just overwhelm your defenses. Well, there's a system where you can actually go back in time, go back to the very beginning, as if you were starting at level like 0, but carry everything that you have earned along the way. And so you're constantly at a moving at a moving graph, just like getting better and deeper into the game. And you have different cities that you defend on Earth. Obviously, you start off with Tokyo, where everything started. You have London, you have Sydney. Each map has different perks on it. You can save people that are falling off buildings just by tapping them. There are alien UFOs that you could tap them and get bonuses. It's a nice time suck. I've played several clickers that have better systems in them,
Sure.
but because I'm a Godzilla fan,
Yeah.
I gravitate toward this one a lot more easily, and it's fun to just watch. And like all of a sudden, I get a card. I'm like, oh wow, I totally forgot about this character. Like that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it sounds like it sounds like it has really good fan service for people that are
Yeah.
big into it like you. Two more questions. They're both related. Does it include the Godzilla 2000 Godzilla, and is the P Diddy song in the game?
I don't think Josh. Um, I don't think Zilla's in. I don't know, to be honest. I've looked through all the cards, and to be honest, I don't remember Zilla being in the game.
Okay.
That's what they call him, by the way. They don't call him Godzilla because that piece of shit is not considered, in the canon. They made Godzilla movies after that 2000 Godzilla movie,
Yeah.
refuting the fact that that was even a Godzilla.
So no P Diddy.
There's even a all attack out with Godzilla, all monsters attack movie. I think that's what it's called, where Godzilla basically does a world tour and he fights that Godzilla in Sydney and completely
Kicks his ass. So no P Diddy.
No.
All right, that game sucks.
No.
I'm just kidding. That movie is terrible. That song is stupid and fun. But that's cool. What else you got, Charlie? Anything else?
What?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. What song does he cover?
It's
What is
it's the immigrant song from Led Zeppelin.
Thank you. Led
Yes.
Zeppelin. I was like, what song is that? My wife and I argue all the time that, obviously when the immigrant song comes on, she starts singing the P. Diddy version because she likes that. That was one of her first CDs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. This is Led Zeppelin. Let it be Led Zeppelin.
It's Led Zeppelin. Charlie, I know we don't necessarily do this, but we're going to go ahead and do this because we have not seen this person in the chat before. Everybody, welcome Aaron the Great into the podcast chat. Aaron, wonderful to see you.
Hey.
Thanks for hanging out. All right, so let's get back to what I played before my son came in to have a meltdown. I played Apex Legends again. It's been a while. After the Marble stream, our good friend Sturm Rage was streaming, and I went in there, and he asked if I wanted to play. So I did. We got 2 wins. We were the Apex champions twice, and now I am 100% fully back into that dumb game. It's a fantastic game. It's one of the better playing BRs. And it's great, and I don't know. I'm ready to start playing that game more often.
What made you pull out of that game?
We
a better term.
I would just play. I never pull out. You play games, and sometimes you push one to the side to play others, not because you're bored. You just. I kind of got into Call of Duty, so I was playing that, and, it took someone playing it that I hadn't played with before and was like, oh, yeah, I should play that game again. And so I played it again, and it's great. I mean, it was never not great, but it's
Sure.
great. And so unless you got anything else, Charlie, we'll go ahead and move on. We will definitely be playing some stuff this week now that we're kind of past month-end close and sickness and have a couple days between hockey. Yeah, and we got some new releases later on. Which, speaking of new releases, Charlie, it's time to get into our next segment. Segment.
You're not going home.
They're going home, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for the news. And Charlie, why don't you go ahead and get us started with the news? This is unfortunate. I think this is the first time where the actual news is going to take place after we do our recording. But go ahead and give us the lowdown about what's happening tomorrow.
Yeah, so last week we were, due to my illness and due to some work overload on both our ends, we were able to postpone our podcast to the next day, which was fortuitous because then we got a whole bunch of news
Hmm.
thrown our way. Now that we're back on schedule, everything has righted the ship, and we
Yeah,
have no news to give you this week
it's
because
so bad.
we are now a day early and a dollar heavy. We're not really a dollar short.
Yeah, I
But
don't know.
anyway, so the PS5 showcase streaming event, this is going to be a preview. I mean, this is going to be like a slight preview because it's all tomorrow that they're going to be showing that. So when this podcast is actually uploaded to Apple Podcasts or your other podcast providers, um, we will not have this news for you. So hopefully you'll be able to tune into that and check it out. But the big thing with this showcase is that the PS5 price and the pre-order details will drop.
Hmm.
We've seen so much footage of basically every game that's been previewed over the last month or so has been played quote unquote on the PS5.
Yeah,
And so let's now see what the hardware can do. There has been lots of speculation, and Sony has actually refuted that this holiday season that there's going to be a shortage of PlayStations
yeah,
available.
yeah.
They are massively trying to, refute this
Right.
rumor, basically saying, I don't, again, I don't know. It's one of those things where, where there's smoke, there's fire. Could this be something that had planned to get people to be like, oh gosh, there's not going to be enough PS5s. We better go get ours. So
Yeah.
who knows? But all that news is going to be privy to you tomorrow. I want to see what it all entails. Everyone is frothing at the mouth to determine how they react to Xbox's um, price
Exactly.
release that they had last week because what they had the price points of $299 and $499.
Right. It was a yeah. It was definitely a very big, um, like first volley. It
Yeah,
was hey, we've got our big badass system.
Xbox had the Sampras serve. Can the PS5 have the Agassi return?
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
we'll see what they can do.
And
There's a lot of speculation saying it could be $500. There's a lot of speculation it could be more. There's a lot of speculation it could be less. Right now, we won't know until they drop the hammer.
and you know what? Hopefully the answer for everybody is it's a big time Sampras serve with an awesome rally from Agassi, and they go back and forth for years and years because that means everybody wins. You know,
Yeah,
if I had to guess, it's gonna be $499 for the big boy, and then probably $449 for the discless, because that seems to be the only difference between the
yeah.
two is one's got a drive, one doesn't. Um, and we'll probably get a date. We'll get the pre-order date, like you said, and we will be completely underway in the next gen. And like I told you last
Save
week,
your money.
man, I am so ready. I am all in. Next week is the pre-orders for Xbox. I will be pre-ordering my Xbox next week. Looking forward to it.
I know I have to be a good little boy because I have to basically ask for not one, maybe not two, but probably three consoles.
Yeah, you still got to get a
It's just
Switch
all.
and then maybe an Xbox and a PS5. It'll be interesting to see what this thing is tomorrow because they've, like you said, they've focused a ton on the games. I
Yeah,
wonder if this is just going to be like a 10 to 15-minute video where they're like, hey, this is what the systems are. Here's the price. Here are the dates. Here's when you can pre-order. Maybe they have a montage of the games, and I wonder if it's like you said, it may just be very hardware announcement intensive.
yeah.
Nobody knows yet what the amount of time the video is going to be. Will
Yeah.
they
I think it's going to be, I mean, it's not going to be a 2 hour gaming event. They have to do at least a good 30 minutes on the hardware, what it can do, what it it's capable of doing,
Sure.
and the differentiating between the driveless versus the one with the disk drive in it.
Right.
Um, I think, and because it is going to be PS4 backwards compatible, they're gonna definitely showcase the new the controller,
Hmm.
and obviously, tell their audiences, hey, for the PS, everyone knows this, but they're probably going to restate it to say, hey, for the compatible, the backwards compatible games, you can still use your PS4 DualShock controller. So,
Yeah.
you know,
And yeah, it and we're in it. Like, we're here. Well, it's funny because we were saying at the outset of the show that oh, we're here. It's fall video game season. No, it's fall video game season, and it's also console season. We're here,
yep,
and it's exciting. I think for the most part, both Sony and Microsoft's um, uh, the way that they have presented as they've led up has been pretty good. It's been not without, on both Sony and Microsoft, without some stumbles here and there, which is to be expected. But we're here, and then the next generation of gaming is upon us, and I for one cannot wait to see all of those pixels.
games are looking good.
Yeah, games look great. It's never been a better time to play video games, as a great man once said. So we will definitely be talking a lot about that next week. Like Charlie said, unfortunately, for the first time probably in our short history of our podcast, a news story is going to break right after we post, which is
Yep.
unfortunate. But we will have all the details next week in
Yeah.
episode
We will
8.
definitely have a review of
Oh yeah,
that.
yeah, for sure.
And so,
And I'm thinking, Charlie, maybe next week when we get to, since we'll have all the information, maybe our topic of the show next week will be just talking about the next generation in general, kind of
sure.
talking about what we're looking forward to, strengths, weaknesses, and things like that. And I think that'd be fun to, and maybe even rope in Nintendo as well, talk about that.
I mean,
Just
Nintendo's got something coming out in the woodwork,
um,
apparently. So,
And so, before we get to the next item, I forgot to mention this, and also I may have messed up. Are we really on episode 8 or episode 7?
this is 8.
Okay, so the title of this stream is incorrect. I forgot to mention that this is episode 8, and the episode title is "Doing Benihanas Pretending I'm a Superman." Which the reason why we called it that is this next story. That tone. That Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake is now the highest selling Tony Hawk game. It is, or highest seller in the series, I should say. It's sold over 1 million copies just in the last 10 days, and I think there's two things about this that are very interesting. One is that they have, after a long time, they have finally made a really, really good Tony Hawk's Pro Skater again, which is fantastic because we've talked about this a couple times. Those early Tony Hawk games are classics. They're
Oh yeah.
fantastic, and so it's good to see that they've made, even though it's a remake, it's a full from the ground up remake. So in essence, it's a new game, but also I think what this is going to prove is that they are absolutely going to make a new Tony Hawk, like a new Tony Hawk game, because this one is sold so well. And when you do these remakes, a lot of times you're doing them to test the waters. And they did that with the Crash Bandicoot 1 through 3 remake. Things like that. So I think it's a slam dunk that whatever Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 6 or whatever is going to absolutely happen
Yeah,
in the
this is
future.
definitely a chance for like the older generation to revisit their roots,
Oh yeah,
and for the younger generation to see something basically to them that's brand new, that they can share these experiences with their big brothers or fathers or uncles or whatever, or aunts or sisters or mothers.
yeah,
Um, in a game that, gosh, it's been what, 20 years
hmm
since that sucker was just at its peak. Um, of its powers. And like they tried several times to release different versions of Tony Hawk Pro Skater, not this one particularly, or new innovations of it. Remember the Wii
Oh
Tony
yeah,
Hawk
yeah,
board,
yeah. Tony Hawk Ride,
which it
terrible. Like I appreciate them
I
trying
love the
something
fact
new.
that Nintendo completely goes out there and goes
Oh yeah.
for it when it comes to their accessories and their intangibles.
Hmm.
But it just sometimes it just like, in theory it works in your head, but in practicum it just doesn't.
Well,
And so to see that they're like Tony Hawk, the brand is going back to its roots,
yeah.
and and that it's been embraced by people who have purchased 1 million copies since 9.4. So
Well,
it's good to
they went back to what they know and what they've done best, which is were obviously those first 4 or 5 games, and because yeah, it did get stale. Like you said, they took chances and it didn't work, and then they kind of went back to the well with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5 that came out like 2 years ago, and it's one of the worst games of that year. Like it's horrible. Well, they they decided to kind of do like they did with God of War, which was like let's clean slate. Let's start over. Let's start with this remake of what you guys love, because I haven't played it yet, but seeing those levels again, hearing those tracks from the soundtrack, Goldfinger, Rage Against the Machine, those track. Jerry was a race car driver, Primus. You hear that stuff and it brings you that sense of nostalgia that is squarely in mine and yours wheelhouse. Like that's the exact time frame. So it's great that not only do you feel that nostalgia, but it also seems like it's a very, very good video game. So that's great. I'm excited to play it. That's probably going to be one of those. Hey, it's Black Friday and it's $20. That's when I'll pounce on that thing.
yeah,
So that's cool. Charlie, let's get into. Well, I mean, I guess you could take this as good or bad news depending on how you
sure.
feel about the company. Why don't you give us this next news story?
Well, I was going to say with the new console season, usually this is also the season to go ahead and sell back your aging old consoles that you're just like, I'm not going to use this anymore and whatever. Well, it appears like you're going to be very, very limited coming up soon because GameStop is going to close about 400 to 450 stores by the end of this year, with more to be closed in 2021. And to be honest, I I don't want to say I couldn't be happier, but it's kind of time because
Mm,
of the way the game landscape is going. Brick and mortar stores, kind of like GameStop, are going to be pretty much phased out
yeah.
due to the fact that a lot of things are going digital. Heck, I know a lot of gamers are actually going to the old well and not selling their I still have my Xbox 360 still.
Mm,
And like to be honest, I'm so glad that because of stuff like Twitch, because of all these streaming avenues, you can keep those items and
yeah.
get a good capture card, put it together with a PC. If you have a whole volume of or a whole library full of games, it is better utilizing and playing those old games. Heck, showing those old games to your kids. Um, Doing that than going over to a place that's going to sell basically give you 5 cents to the dollar on
Yeah.
what their original value was. And I get it, the older consoles, no one's going to want to buy them, so they want to make as much money as they can on them. However, just that old model is completely gone by the wayside now. So unfortunately, I feel bad for the employees, but them's the times, unfortunately.
Yeah, and like you said, with the digital age really starting to take precedence over physical media, this was going to happen anyway. COVID didn't help
No.
them, but I mean, they kind of did it to themselves. They with the way that they have continually mishandled the way their trade-in values and the way that you have to um, become part of a club to get all these bonuses and just the way that they promote that stuff and just hound you and it's not necessarily the employees' faults. It's because if they don't sell that shit, they get fired, and it's bullcrap.
Yeah.
And the conditions of working there for a place that's all about video games doesn't seem like that fun of a place to work at all.
Did you know anyone that worked there?
I
Like,
never, I
personally?
I knew someone that worked. I knew someone that worked at the GameStop warehouse in Grapevine,
Okay.
Texas, but not at an actual store.
Okay.
I did
I mean, we knew
apply.
Edgar Renteria, but
Yeah, I applied to work at a GameStop,
oh
but
yeah,
never got hired. Which in
oh
hindsight,
yeah, Josh worked there.
I hate it. I'm glad that I didn't.
Yeah,
At the Vista Ridge Mall. Was it the Vista Ridge Mall, Josh?
I'm presuming as
It
much.
was either that one or the one across the street from the mall, which was weird that they had two within a corner. But yeah, again, it's sad that there's going to be people that are going to lose their job, but also you reap what you reap what you sow, and GameStop did that for years, and it's finally starting to come back around to them, and digital and Game Pass and PlayStation Now, that stuff getting big was that kind of final nail in the coffin. And I'm unfortunate. I mean, it sounds bad, but I don't feel sorry for that company at all. I'm
Yeah,
glad.
there
I'm
was a
kind of glad.
time and place for
Oh,
it
sure.
when it was all about loyalty to cut like customer loyalty programs. I remember I was part of that. I forget what even the program was called, but I wasn't making much money at the time. We were all hourly and stuff like that, working at a coffee shop, and it was for what it was at the time. It was good for me then,
Yeah,
as a college student. But now, um, there are there are a lot more. I don't want to say cheaper. There's a lot more there are a lot more avenues to be thrifty when it comes to playing video games.
absolutely.
Like you have all these digital services. Koch Movie Trading Company is a place that heck you buy video games on the cheap there. I mean eBay,
Yeah.
Craigslist, you can buy a whole bunch of quality video games for dirt cheap. And I think that, like you said, being caught up in that machine where yes, it was cool that when you were done with a video game or a video game console, you could sell it back for a little bit of cash.
Sure.
And I still remember, like, I don't know if this is the spawn child of Funkoland. I still remember getting spurned when my mom drove me to Funkoland with a whole bunch of video games with the promise that, like, hey, I'm going to sell 5 video games and I'm going to get like 4 or 5 back.
Right. And you
And I
barely
got
got one. Yeah,
$14.
yeah. The first time,
And
that first realization that you're not getting what you thought you were going to is
yeah,
so disappointing. But yet you still probably traded those games in, didn't you?
well, sure. Like and like my mom, like, it was one of those things where I had to be right no matter what.
Well, of course.
And even when I walked back to my car with $14 in hand, and she was like, "Where's your video games?" I was like, I don't have them anymore. And she's like, "Excuse me?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Well, you don't have any video games." I literally sold all, like at the time, was all my stock.
Yeah.
You know, it was different now. When I was older, when you're like, okay, I want to get this newer, quote unquote, newer used video game, but I've got these 3 video games I really, really, absolutely don't play anymore. I had some coin in my pocket, so that was fine. But the idea again that they were just basically like, I think, what was it like, if you bought a new system from them and literally went back like an hour later, well, that system like worth 40% of what it was originally
Oh yeah.
cost.
Oh yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. The ultimate depreciation.
Yeah, like that cars don't depreciate that
No,
fast, I
they
don't think.
don't. They don't. Medical equipment doesn't depreciate that fast. I should know. Bringing it back to work.
There you go.
Um,
Oh,
yeah, like it's time. GameStop. Yeah, I like I said, I don't have sympathy for that company. I do for the workers, of course, but
And I don't
It's
know what like their next step is because I mean they're closing stores, but are they going to open up some type of online component because their business is buying used video
well,
games.
yeah,
Can't
yeah,
really do that with digital copies. So
yeah.
they now
It'll
sell Funko Pop toys all the time.
yeah, fucking Funko Pops. Um, and yeah, and I think the biggest thing from this story is that yeah,
Sorry, yeah.
even more is gonna they're gonna close more in 2021. Like I feel like it's one of those things where by like the end of 2021, doesn't it feel like that company will be just gone? Like all the stores will
Yeah.
be closed. That's a shame. In some
It'll be part
ways.
of our scatter shooting in like a couple of years.
Yeah, scatter shooting, whatever happened to GameStop. Yeah, I don't know about that.
Midnight releases.
Yeah. Uh, at midnight release, that'll be a title of a podcast later on. Midnight releases with Edgar Renteria.
I mean, those were fun.
They
Like,
were
I mean, I
fun.
had a good time with those things, but again, like, I think the times have just passed now where you're just like, okay,
Sure.
just give me the game.
I mean, I did a midnight release of the PlayStation 2 at
Yeah.
GameStop. I went to GameStop and got my PlayStation 2. Funny enough, Josh, at the Louisville GameStop that you worked at.
Nice.
Back in the day. So let's move on. We finally have a date for free to play Rocket League. Our good friend Adam will be interested in this. That'll be next Wednesday, September 23rd. It will officially go free to play. The new season will also begin for those that do the Rocket Pass right here. And it will also come off of Steam and go exclusively to the Epic Games Store. If you do have a Steam copy that you purchased previously, you still will be able to launch it from Steam, but you won't be able to purchase it or download it anymore. So yeah, so that's cool. That game's fantastic. It's great that they're going free to play, and it's fantastic that more people, even more people, are going to be able to get their hands on one of the best games of this generation. Hopefully, Charlie, we'll be able to play that game together more in the future.
Yeah, I really, really want to get more into playing that game. It can be so frustrating because the disparity by which y'all's experience is versus mine,
Sure.
it can just be like, oh, like why am I even? I'm literally costing you guys a game because I feel really bad that I cannot perform up to par.
Well, in you know the way that we look at it is that in in by experience of being in your same place back in the day,
Yeah,
learning that game and being able to have opportunities to get better at that game is much easier when you are playing with people you know, but also
yeah,
people that are good as well,
yeah,
because you have that ability to kind of play off of the other one or two people that are good at the game. If you're just going into the dregs and playing with other crappy people, nobody's really getting better. Um,
sure.
you know, Smithy Fingers, who's in the chat, you know, jumped in after playing for 3 minutes and jumped in with Ryan and I and ended up in freaking gold, better rank than us, which was amazing. It was awesome. So yeah, just you got to keep at it and
Yeah,
make sure you're in ball cam. Don't be like Ryan.
no,
Um,
I've definitely started doing ball cam, which again that is another challenge in itself. But I've
sure.
definitely gone to that versus
Yeah,
the latter, the
yeah,
former.
the Ryan way. Charlie, the last item on our list, I'll let you handle, but it's not really necessarily breaking news. It's actually something. It's I the reason why I thought it was good to keep this on here is because we actually failed to talk about this part of it last week during the Xbox reveal and all that. But go ahead and
Yeah, this
give
is
us
like a semi-editorial,
sure. And
and it's basically that the
I have a
fact that the
rebuttal.
Xbox Series S, so it was price pointed at $299. Well, I'm not saying that this is the driving reason behind it, but it's only going to have a 512 gigabyte storage.
Hmm.
I cannot tell you how frustrating, like, just initially looking at that, and I'm just like, really? Only 512? Is
Hmm.
that all you're going to give me, like,
Yeah.
at the onset?
Yeah.
And I get it, but at the same time, I don't get it. Because really?
Sure.
Only 512?
So would you allow me the floor to explain a little bit?
Sure.
Um, So yes, one the price point has kind of everything to do with it. Um, a couple of things. One, you can attach your own external hard drive to expand it, if you want to. As someone that has an Xbox One that has 500 gigabytes, I have been able to make that work. Um,
Sure.
Most of the stuff that I play is small. I don't. I have Call of Duty and then a bunch of small stuff.
Cheers, bro.
So far it hasn't become an issue. But also to your point, storage is fucking cheap now.
Sure, that's what I'm
And
saying.
why I don't I get it. I get it in a way. And also I you know, them switching over to SSD
Yeah,
is a driving force of it, because SSD, while cheaper than it was a couple years ago, is still kind of new, still kind of
yeah.
expensive. So I understand that, but also, what's the one thing that people own PlayStations or Xbox Ones that have 500 gigabytes complain about? They're always having to go in to their library and make moves and delete stuff, bring stuff in, and it's a first world problem. And
It is.
when you don't own a console that has 500 like you do,
Yeah.
you know what it's like. You know what it's like to not have to delete shit, pretty much.
Oh my god, I constantly download stuff onto my PlayStation 4 Pro, and I'm still amazed. I'm like, I've yet to receive them. I think I've
Yeah,
received the message once,
that you're close.
but I had Red Dead, I had
Yeah,
Detroit Beyond Human, I had
God of
Spider
War.
Man, I had a whole bunch of big, AAA games on
Sure.
there.
And
Um,
as someone like me who doesn't play a lot of AAA stuff, I play a lot of smaller stuff in the kind of 10 to 20 gigabyte range. That's not an issue to me, and it's one of those where it is a first world problem. You you just deal with it. You eventually just deal with it. It
yeah,
kind of sucks when you're like, I want to download this. Oh, I'm 4 gigabytes over. That kind of sucks. But you kind of just get over it. Like,
sure,
it should be a gigabyte. It absolutely should be. But it's not a deal breaker to me,
sure,
because if you're spending $299, you're kind of getting what you paid for.
yeah.
You realize it's not going to be the same thing. But yeah, it's I could see both sides.
It's just in a day and age when games aren't getting smaller.
No, they're not, and
Let's just say
they will
that
get
games are
bigger.
going to get bigger.
And those 5 to 10 gigabyte indie games are probably going to be 15 to 20 now, and your Call of Duty, which is 100 and whatever it is now, is going to be closer to 150 plus. And yeah, it is a thing. Also, I will say that the people that complain are not complaining. I'm not saying you're complaining, but that are worried about that are people that have 1 terabyte systems. See,
Sure,
me, who's always had that, is just like, it's not that bad.
yeah.
It's
It is the haves and, like, I don't want to say haves and have nots, but the people who have experienced are like, well, I've always had this much. Well, why do I need to throttle back
sure.
by
And
half?
yeah, and it would be nice if it was a gigabyte, but also I bet you if they made it a gigabyte SSD, that thing would be 349 or 399. So,
See, I read a report, and maybe you could probably refute this immediately because I read this report like in really, really, it was really, really fast and passing, but that, like, okay, so this Xbox Series S is going to come with a 512 gigabyte storage. Apparently, the Seagate is developing an external drive specifically for this.
yeah.
It's
Yeah, it's
$200.
expensive.
So buy the X.
Yeah, buy the X if you buy the X if you care about that. I don't know that I care about that, so I'm leaning towards the S, but we'll see. I still have another week or so to care about that. But yeah, if you do care about that space, and obviously if you care about 4K and things like that.
Well, will there be other intangible? Well, I'm okay. I guess my thing is that it's exclusive to Seagate. Is that right?
So what I bet it is that that'll be the official one,
Yeah.
but you'll probably be able to buy
Other people
any.
can jerry rig
I mean,
other versions.
yeah, you can get an external SSD, whatever one you want, and add it to it. Now it has to be an SSD to be able to run the games from the drive. You can attach a regular hard disk drive and keep your stuff on it, like your saves and stuff, but you can't bring up the games from it. You would have to transfer them over. So they're going all full SSD, which is smart. I mean, you have to, with what they talk about with loading times, and I mean the PlayStation is also doing SSD.
Yeah.
We've seen it with Ratchet and Clank. That would not work on a regular hard drive, the
Sure.
loading time. So. And that's it for the news. That there's no news. That's it. I mean, we had to basically go into editorial mode. We do actually have some really some pretty good releases. This is a good release week. Charlie, why don't you start with the first one, because I know you're interested in this.
Spelunky 2. It's out on PS4 today.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be on PC a little later in the month, but it came out on PS4 today. I haven't bought it yet, but after playing Spelunky, I want to play that a little bit more and really let my teeth sink into it before, jumping into the sequel, because it seems like the sequel has a lot more options, a lot more varied levels, a lot more difficulty. Heck, I could barely get through the first stage of the first Spelunky game, so
right.
Let's hold off my horses before I buy another game.
Yeah,
But
you got a lot of
really,
Spelunky to play.
really awesome. I remember watching that in the opening night and just like frothing in the mouth. I'm like, oh my god, I have to go play Spelunky now.
Yeah,
because this is coming out.
Yeah, I hopped into. I've got Spelunky on my PS4. I hopped in and played a couple games. Not this past week, but the week before. That game is just it's an awesome.
Spelunky available on PlayStation Now right now.
Exactly. I think I got it on Plus whenever they had it back in the day. Yeah. It's it's one of the best platformers of this current generation. There's no doubt. It's so good. The secrets, the difficulty is not. It's bend not break difficulty. That perfect middle ground. It's a fantastic game, and it sounds like the sequel is really, really good too. I look forward to giving that a shot later in the year, and it certainly won't be this week, because my game of the week, that Super Mario 3D All-Stars, is out this week on Friday, and I have it pre-ordered. Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, Super Mario Galaxy. What?
I hate you.
Why? Oh, because I get to play it?
Yeah.
I
cannot find a Switch to save my life.
I would like to propose something to you, Charlie, speaking of this. I would like you on stream, once you get it, I want to see your playthrough of Mario Sunshine.
I've watched Steal My Sunshine so many times that I don't think that it will hurt me too much unless the camera just kills me.
Well, that's the thing. Like,
you know how I am about that.
No, I know.
Did they change that? You know if they said that?
I don't know. I that's the thing, is if they fixed the control in the camera, you're gonna play a game that's really fun.
Yeah.
If they haven't, then you're gonna play a game that is probably 40% fun. So,
Death Stranding or Sunshine?
Death Stranding. I have to know. Like Sunshine, I want to know what you think of it, but also I need to know about.
We've beaten you to high holy hell over Sunshine, but in watching other people who I enjoy watching play video games play it, I want to not be one of those people to judge something based upon something that I've never experienced.
My favorite thing is that you guys gave me shit about Mario Sunshine before Steal My Sunshine. You just did it because it was called fucking Sunshine and all that shit. But like I still will.
The prognosticators were all the same.
I mean, that's the thing, is that
was the worst game, the worst Mario game.
Some have, but I mean, some talk about how good it is, and I still contend that back when I played it, I really liked playing it. Like, I had a lot of fun playing it. I got all the shines. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, it doesn't appear that game holds up, especially when compared to later Galaxy 2, and especially Super Mario Odyssey on the Switch. Like, it just doesn't. I haven't played it in a long time. I want to play it and see how it feels, and I definitely want to play Mario 64 again, and I want to play Mario Galaxy because I really didn't play that game very much. But that is out on Friday. Charlie, the other game that's out on Friday is something that we didn't think that we'd be interested in, but I'll be damned if we're kind of interested in this. And I wish Mean Green was here.
I know. Gosh, yeah, WWE 2K Battlegrounds, the NFL street looking version of WWE video games looks like it's looks very very cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's over the top action, looks like something that I could be down with. I don't know any of these guys,
Sure.
but it seems like there's a lot of legacy characters in there that I'm like familiar with from
Sure.
my childhood. It looks a lot of fun. Like I don't know if the promotional campaign is out of this world great,
Yeah.
but I'm praying that, for the sake of 2K, like that this is a really, really good game. It looks like a really, really fun
Well, yeah,
experience.
and Smithy makes a good point in the chat. He says that, I'd avoid WWE like the Black Plague after the last game. He's 100% correct. It's one of the worst games ever released. But I appreciate that 2K is going back and trying something new, going more arcadey, because I feel like that's what the wrestling game should be. I feel like they need to be more arcadey. When you try to make something that's fucking fake a simulation, what do you think's gonna happen? It's not gonna work. And I really hope this is not a game I'm not gonna pay full price for, because I'm not that into WWE.
Sure.
But if it gets good
Yeah,
reviews
is getting it.
I don't know. I would assume if the reviews are fine, he will. But he was spurned by the last few WWE 2K games, so I can totally
Wow.
see that. Josh, I would wait for reviews. I don't want you to waste $40. I would wait for the reviews, and at least if you see reviews that are average to above average, then maybe do it. But I don't know.
Smithy is just he is
Sure,
spurned,
and you know what?
man.
There are a lot of people. There are a lot of people like Smithy that are after 2K20 that were like, I will never ever buy a 2K wrestling game ever again.
2K20 was that bad?
Dude, they never fixed it. They never fixed the problems. And it was already getting bad because they just never changed it, and it's not good. It's not good. Just go YouTube WWE 2K20 glitches, and you will have you want to talk about rabbit holes, you'll have hours of fun.
Is it Assassin's Creed bad?
It's worse. It's worse.
Worse? Oh
Dude,
my god.
it's unbelievable how the the character models are horrible. The hair looks fucking weird. None of the big stars look right. Like, go look at The Rock. It does not look like The Rock. It's weird. It's bad.
It's like the Scorpion King Rock from
Worse.
The Mummy.
Worse.
The Mummy Returns.
So we'll see. I hope that game is good for the sake of our friend Ryan. But we'll see. The last big release, that remastered Crysis is coming out on Friday. PC, Xbox, and PS4. I never played Crysis, so I don't know much about it. I know that
this was the game that basically, like, it was the measuring stick of how awesome your PC was.
Right. It used to be Far
You
Cry.
put Crysis on there, and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
I've got a badass PC.
Yeah, which I
And
never
so we'll
did.
see what Crysis Remastered looks like. I mean, that game is pretty already.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I don't know how much prettier it can get, but that's kind of cool that they have a remastered version of it.
Yeah, sure. And people, there's people that swear by Crysis as a game, and that's cool. I never had a PC anywhere close to being able to run that.
Neither did I. But I watched videos of
Oh,
it.
it
And I was
looked.
like,
Yeah, I mean,
I want
the
Alienware.
benchmark, the benchmark used to be Far Cry, and then it became Crysis, and it's kind of still is.
Yeah.
But that's cool. I don't know how well that'll sell, but whatever. That's cool that it's out. I don't think it's gonna do Tony Hawk remake numbers, but that's gonna do it for the news and the new releases, and we're gonna get to the topic of the show. And ladies and gentlemen, I've been excited to do this for a little bit, and we actually talked, and this sounds like a good time to do it. So Charlie and I have known each other for 17 years, 18 years now, and of course, with both of us being big time gamers, we have played, not only us but all of our friends too. We have played a ton of games together, and I thought it would be fun to talk about some of the stuff that we've played together, some of the big rivalries that we had in certain games, and just kind of the fun that we had. And so,
I don't know what I typed there.
what's up?
I don't know what I typed in the run sheet.
Games
Games
all
all epic played together.
all right, we're just gonna move on from that, Mister.
Hey, this was last week when I was sick and putting this
This is Nyquil,
document together.
Nyquil induced.
Oh,
Um, First, let's talk about the thing that really got us together in gaming, and of course, that's Madden. We back in, especially in the mid 2000s, that was, I mean, every year we bought Madden, and we played it, of course, on our own, and then we would go to that apartment in Louisville, was it Carrollton or Louisville, the one in Frankfurt?
Carrollton.
Is it technically Carrollton?
Yeah.
And I would go over there, and I'd leave my Sonic Cup over in the corner for 3 years. I eventually won that, by the way. You guys eventually threw it away. I won that standoff.
It's because we were moving out.
Still won. And so the thing that I remember the most about our Madden matchups, not only between myself and you, but just with the group that we would play with. It was usually me, you, Chris, Ramsey, back in the day. Eventually, Matt Bushi joined us in that. How fucking into it we were. Like, just like over the top stupid into it.
I mean, it's Madden. Like,
Yeah, well, exactly.
I remember even as a teenager, we were like into it, like hardcore, and then you get a whole bunch of like college students like put together, and we're all hepped up on caffeine because we're all working at coffee shops and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like that thing. It was a nightly adventure. The first thing you wanted to do as soon as you got your shift over was like, hey, you coming over from Madden?
Let's do it.
Let's go by the Sonic and
Well, and you remember, I lived in Grapevine. Like, I wasn't that close to you guys, but yet 3-4 times a week I was over there, and the another thing was, you for a long time were the alpha dog of Madden. You would beat us, and not just, not, I don't mean in like blowout fashion. You just always seemed to win these games. And then, of course, there was the time where I finally got over the top, and you got so mad that you went out your back sliding glass door, hopped over the wooden fence, which was not short, by the way.
No, it was a 6-foot fence.
It's a 6+ foot fence, and you went and took a sports walk.
I took a walk,
and he's gone for like 10 minutes, and he comes back, and of course he congratulates me. It's what you do. It's what you do when you're doing sports or video games. You get over it and you move on, and then from then on, it was like even competition between all of us. Like it, and of course we had our forward fumbles and Troy Hambricks and just the
to speak on that night. So just to put in context,
let's do it
again. At the time, I would say that I was a decently good Madden player, and I think the team that I played with was the Buccaneers all the time.
Exactly.
They were fresh off a championship. They were pretty high ranked in the game. Oh, the idea that fucking Troy Hambrick of all GD running backs
and
in
Quincy
that
Carter
flipping game. Yeah, I don't even know what happened. Like, he was running like Barry Sanders and just running through people like Adrian Peterson in that game. It was infuriating.
It was Bo Jackson Tecmo Bowl.
Yeah, it just
or
like it
Christian
was like
Okoye.
I think I asked that. I was like, "Did you guys put a Madden code on this thing? Like seriously, like was there some sort of code that you put on before we started this game?"
Right.
And you know, you get to the point where like you get so used to winning. Obviously, when you lose, you're just like, "Oh my god, I lost."
Yeah.
And you know, it's like one of those things where you don't want to blow. Like we're friends, you don't want to blow up and like be like, you know, you stupid piece of shit, da 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 da.
Sure.
And you're just like, yeah, it's like you said, take the sports walk because you just gotta
Yeah.
let it go, whatever. And everything
And
was awesome after that.
well, and to Smithy's point, no, I didn't gloat the win. I was excited because I won,
No,
just like you are.
they were nervous when I got back because they thought like they're like,
A little bit, yeah. I was
where'd
like,
you go?
I was like when you left, I was like, oh
Go to a gun
shit.
store?
I was like, and then he came back and everything was fine, and he congratulated me, and then it was funny because after that, no matter who won or lost, like it wasn't even because if you had not gone on that early streak, that would have never happened. If it was just back and forth like it was after that, then it's no big deal. But
Yeah,
you dominated the one loss record
yeah,
for so
like
long,
for a while.
and it in the you know what I find interesting
Sure.
is I find interesting that we played so much Madden.
Oh yeah.
We never played NCAA together. I don't understand it.
And
To me, it was the better game. I love. I don't get it.
and you know me, like it was in our, you know, games in our game survey. I played a crap ton where I think like, you know, we still haven't eclipsed the, you know, the actual time in that game because I played about 20, 25 years of worth of, you know, franchises, I guess you'd call it.
Sure.
But yeah, I never played. I always just played, you know, played with myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm surprised that we never like, you know, cracked that bottle open. But
Yeah, and not only our matchups, like we each had our individual matchups with other people. Like of course there's the mine with Ryan poker night with the
oh my
back and forth
gosh.
on kickoff returns, which Ryan ended up winning that game. But yeah, Madden, those
These
were
two guys bow out, and every like it seemed like every minute was like, oh, there was a kick return. Oh, there was a. We went into the room. It was like 70-63 in like the third
sure.
quarter.
It's hang on just a second.
That's fun.
Hey, Josh, can you take care of that spam, please? Thank you. Appreciate you, pal. Yeah, it was out of all the competitive stuff we did, which we'll talk about the other kind of competitive thing here in just a second, but out of all the competitive stuff we played, that is easily the one that we played the most and got into the most.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because the other game that we played quote competitively was the Tiger Woods series. We
Thanks, brother.
never ever took that seriously. And you know why? Because we were all shooting 30 under par. In that game, holes in ones left and right, and
We were
albatross.
Hawkeye in
Oh
that
my
game.
god! And that was back when the early days of Game Face, and it was like that 2005 Tiger Woods where we were able to kind of put our faces into the game, so our avatars kind of looked like us.
Yeah, I still look like KJ Choi.
A little bit. Chris, what was it? Chris DeMarco.
Yeah, Chris DeMarco and KJ Choi.
And Chris was David Duvall, right?
Yes.
Who was I? I was it was fuck, what was his name? The guy that kind of had a gut. Rocco Mediate, was that it? Was it Rocco?
You were not Rocco Mediate.
He should have won. He should have won that U.S. Open, by the way. But yeah,
No, that was a lot of fun. I mean, you had Tiger Vision, you had us like just cheesing everything because obviously we took that into our vernacular where it's like no matter what we did, we started.
oh sure, and there's just the bad jokes. Like I feel like that's the game.
04 and 05 were good.
I feel like that's where the era of the fired joke really came into light.
Oh yeah.
Just
If you ever told a
terrible.
bad joke, you're
Just
fired.
yeah, welcome to the land down under. Take a bite out of crime when you hit it in the rough, which was just it's like shit that we say now. Like we say it like it's a fucking radio drop. Like we still say that shit. I feel like that's where the cowabunga goobunga GF came from. Uh, like and I feel like the win.
Well, it was who are the announcers for that game?
It was David Faraday and Gary McCord.
Gary McCord. I mean, we took their drops from the game, like hitting it in the rough and
Oh yeah.
hitting it in the sand, and just we definitely incorporate it to our everyday vocabulary and
Oh
just speech. And we
sure.
were just like, that's all we ever did when we were goofing off. Was like, oh, we hit it down under, or oh,
Right.
that's on the
It's
beach.
on
Because
the
we were
beach. Yeah.
that's the game that got us to actually play in the game, like for
Yeah.
real,
Oh
IRL.
yeah. Yeah, because we played a bunch of that and I had a history with playing golf, but I hadn't played in a while. Chris was kind of the same way, but we were like
I never.
and you had never and we were like we should start fucking playing golf, and we all got sets of golf clubs. It was me, you, and Chris, and then of course Felipe joined us. Cheryl Park that first time, and that it got us into golf.
Yeah.
And like not only did it get us into golf, like we got it so into golf that we planned trips around golf, the California trips. Golf was
Yep.
a high priority, and so the
Golfing trips.
yeah, and it's the a game getting you to do the real thing doesn't happen very often, but that absolutely did. And of course, the next set of games that we played a ton together, the Guitar Hero and Rock Band series. When and it was especially Rock Band. Rock Band's the thing because you had the full band. And
Yeah.
in 2007, when Rock Band came out, there was not a week where we were not playing Friday night and Saturday night. Because that was when we were living across the street from each other in Carrollton. I would bring my shit over,
Yep.
and we would play. And eventually, you guys did get your own, but we would play. We would play Rock Band, and we would play for fucking ever. I mean, we played into the early morning, and of course, we always talk about it. Where the first time I came over, you guys didn't have a save, so we were having to play Learn to Fly, and I Think I'm Paranoid over and over again because we had nothing unlocked. But
Well,
yeah,
that is the game that. Remember, I had my first surgery,
yes,
and I was hepped up on some
painkillers.
wonderful muscle relaxants,
Yeah,
and Adam had even come up from Baylor
that's
to
right.
chill with us.
That was that night. Yes.
I had torn my ACL and torn my lateral and medial meniscus. Ugh. I just
This was between
I
re-injuring
understand
it,
every
right?
sports injury because I've gone through it.
That was between
No.
re-injuring it when we were playing racquetball.
No, like this was after
This
the
was-
second
this was-
time.
okay,
This
this
was
was
after Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay, sure.
Because I injured it the first time in
Jeez.
August, re-injured it again playing you in racquetball, and then did nothing on it until I was
5-3.
like, I'm fine. Let's play football in the backyard.
It's still 5-3
and
you.
I landed on my knee and it just completely just caved in.
Are we ever going to finish that racquetball game?
I'd like to.
I would too. I mean, I know I'm going to lose, but I would like to.
I know my wife is dead set against me ever handling a racket ever again
I
because
bet.
of those surgeries.
Oh, that's just
But
the worst.
no, I remember that night. Just like that was the game that we played, and I couldn't do anything, so I sang "Creep"
Yeah.
and "Learn to Fly,"
Mhm.
and was it "Paranoid"?
Yeah. I think I'm paranoid by garbage.
Yeah. And somehow I was so hepped up on goofballs that I somehow 100%ed Paranoid.
Right. Well, in the just all the parties we had where it would start off as, "Hey, everybody come over, let's drink and hang out." And then they would just turn into Rock Band parties. I mean,
Yep.
we celebrated Ryan's graduation playing Rock Band.
Yep.
and he sang Inner Sandman, which went very poorly. He tried to sing Vagiant. That didn't go well. And then his wife, which at the time I don't think was his wife yet,
That was a girlfriend.
picks up the microphone, had never heard this song before, ever, and just 100%s it. Just out of nowhere. Ryan was late to his job the next morning because he was hammered. The most drunk I have ever seen him.
Because we watched Die Hard at like 4 a.m,
We
and
did.
I was the only one awake with him.
Yeah, I bowed out like after the first 30 minutes of Die Hard. I was like, I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. But yeah, and that continued through Rock Band 2 and 3 and into the Beatles Rock Band.
Rock Band Beatles.
Yeah, the Beatles Rock Band. And you know, I accumulated. I don't even want to know how much money I spent on DLC for Rock Band. I can't.
Have you ever tabulated that?
It's in the thousands. I guarantee you, I spent $1,000.
Yeah.
Oh, Ryan's here. Ryan, we were just talking about your drunken Metallica night for your graduation. But yeah, like I like, to me, out of all of the stuff that we've played together, I feel like that's the one I had the most fun with, just because, you know, there was no competition or anything like that. It was just, we were just hanging out, playing music, playing what we wanted to, and we were all good at our individual things. You know, and singing was dumb because we were drunk. You know, all trying to sing Bohemian Rhapsody hammered, and you know, it's the perfect party game. It's the perfect party game, and there probably won't be another game in the future that will be as perfect of a party game than Rock Band. It probably won't happen. I mean, Jackbox is great.
Well, yeah.
But, you know,
and what I like about this series is the fact that I can still feel its effects today. Cause I mean, before ever playing like Guitar Hero or Rock Band, I had my bands that I, gravitated toward.
Exactly.
And in playing these games, I grew a greater appreciation for like Kansas or Primus.
Exactly. Yeah,
or,
the amount of bands that we discovered because of Rock Band.
Yeah.
And Guitar Hero, of course.
I never would have ever heard of who did Through the Fire and Flames?
Oh, Dragon Force.
Yeah, Dragon Force.
Because of Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
they'd obviously become like, I think, a YouTube or, Yahoo video sensation at the time, just because they were doing gnarly stuff on the internet. But yeah, like there's stuff like that I just would never have discovered because I never, listened to that type of music until I played Guitar Hero and Rock Band.
Exactly. And I talked about how Tiger Woods got us to play golf. I mean, I was about to say, I would not be a musician. I'm not a musician, but I would not be as enthusiastic about playing instruments if it wasn't for that. Like, sure. I play bass, I play electric guitar, I can play drums. Like, I can do all of those things not because they taught me how to do it, but it gave me the inspiration to do that stuff. Drumming in Rock Band is about as close to the real thing as any of it. But if it wasn't for those games really getting me enthusiastic about wanting to do that, I wouldn't play music. And, for me, it kind of continued into Rocksmith. But yeah, Rock Band, we could spend the next 4 hours talking Rock Band memories. It's a fantastic game. It's of a different time. Rock Band is not popular very much anymore, and plastic instrument games are never going to be popular again. It's not going to happen. It's like 1 versus 100. It's never coming back. It's awesome. I do miss that being a huge thing. The other thing that we played, we played a lot of Left 4 Dead. That game, up until that point, I had never been a zombie person. just never. I just I wasn't Resident Evil. I just didn't. I scary games. I just didn't gravitate towards those, and I just it wasn't that big of a thing. But Left 4 Dead, man, I can't think of another game of that era aside from Rock Band that we played more of. I felt like it was every fucking night we were playing. It was some combination of me, you, Ryan, Adam, and Chris playing Left 4 Dead. I bet you we went through those campaigns so many times, and the moments in those games, so many funny moments.
Yeah. I mean, that game. So we didn't do many shooter games together. You and I.
Right. Especially in the 360 era.
Well, sure. Like, I think because, like, we did play a lot of the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer game.
We did do that, yes.
But when it came to like the shooters, you're right. Like this was the one that we're like, okay, we all need to get this game. We all need to start playing it. And I think it's just because, if you put it to terms, we put our own little squad together before that was, in vogue.
Exactly.
And just the idea of like, getting from point A to point Z and never knowing where these zombie hordes or witches or boomers or tanks were going to appear. And the way Valve had designed that game, that everything was just so random in a comical way, even though it's completely frightening.
Yeah,
it brought us together, like you said, when we were done with our shit, it's like, hey, Left 4 Dead tonight,
exactly.
That's be the text on the phone, and we would just get on and we would laugh on, and there would be times where like, heck, we'd get together in the apartment and two of us, I'd be playing next to somebody or you'd be playing sitting next to somebody in another room. And it was just all out free for all. And like you said, those moments where people were getting punched from one house clear
into the barn
into another one.
I got punched from the barn through the window of the house. All the times that Ryan was like, hey, I wonder what's over there, and getting attacked by a witch and dying. The moments of it was the finale of the first chapter where you're on top of the building.
Oh,
where
you had to jump in that helicopter.
Where I believe it was Adam was jumping to the helicopter, got caught and died.
I remember that because I was on the helicopter and I'm just like,
the moment that we have exaggerated 100 times. We're walking. It was early in the first chapter. We walk around the corner and a boomer's smoking a cigarette waiting for us. Yeah. The single 2x4 of the window. We're sitting. Okay, so we're sitting inside of a.
That's all you know.
We are sitting inside of a bedroom on the top floor of a like a ranch house. And
what mode is that? That's a special mode for that game.
No, this was regular. This was the finale of like chapter 2.
Yep. Okay, so it was the very end where you had to wait
for the boat. Something. You had to wait for the boat. You called for the boat.
That's what it was.
You had to call for the boat, and then you had to withstand the horde while you're waiting for the boat. And so we decided that we were going to go into the top floor of this house. And have everything come to us. And so we're all 4 in there. It's me, you, Adam, and I believe Ryan in this case. Uh-huh. And we're sitting there, and there's a single window, and the window has one 2x4 over the middle.
Yeah, because we shot the other.
You shot everything else out except for that one.
Like, that's one left.
Whatever. So you would look down, and there's the horde, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna throw this Molotov cocktail. So I aim, I throw, and I hit the 2x4. It bounces back into the middle of the floor, catches us all on fire. The horde overtakes us and kills us.
Everyone's on fire. We're like, Mitch, what did you do?
Do you remember the same scenario when we were all in the laundry room?
Oh.
And
that was Chris.
That was Chris. There was the moment where we were playing the alternative mode where we were holed up in this little building and we were waiting for them to come from the front where we were facing, and we were like, what is that noise? And we turned around and they had busted the wall down and killed us. Left 4 Dead.
Because we were all facing one direction.
Exactly.
I remember that.
And you could feel your controller was rumbling. The controller was rumbling.
We're creeping up forward like ever so slightly.
And we're like,
what
wait.
is pushing us?
And then we could hear in like our stereo headphones, we turn around and they're all there.
And it's all behind
It's every zombie in the history of zombies. And yeah, it so we always talk about how we wish there was a Left 4 Dead 3. I fear that Left 4 Dead 3 would come out, we would play it, and we would be like, oh shit, that was from a different time. I fear that.
Fall off or whatever.
We would play and we'd be like, oh man, I remember this being fun. It doesn't feel the same. I fear that. Though,
because I have both copies still because I still have my 360 and I have the copy on Steam. It still has a decent to good size following of people. I mean, to the point where they just came out with a brand new map.
That's so weird. Ago. That's so weird that they did that. And I'm like,
you guys want to play a little Left 4 Dead? We gotta.
Yeah, it's Mean Green mentioned World War Z. I played World War Z with Nick and Ryan. By the way, hello Nick, welcome.
Nico.
This is why I fear. Hey Nico. This is why I fear that Left 4 Dead 3 may have that feeling. World War Z is. Here's that term again. It's fine.
Oh boy.
But.
Sturm Rage, you still here?
I don't love it. I don't. And I wonder if it's because maybe it's just not near as good as Left 4 Dead, but also I wonder if that kind of game is from a different time and maybe it doesn't quite that type may not hold up today. Don't get me wrong, I want them to try. I would buy Left 4 Dead 3. I don't know. I just wonder if that's just from a different time, you know? So
I mean, it's been so long since.
That's true.
And again, maybe I've asked this question before and I just don't remember the answer. Is there a BR zombie mode?
No, not really.
Because I've heard that with Warzone that they're going to put a zombie mode in coming up soon. And, we'll see if something like with zombie rushes can, I don't know, quote unquote, reignite the genre again and force Valve's hand to be like, hey, stop making all that money for 1 second and make Left 4 Dead 3 right now.
Sure.
Because, there would probably be a lot of people like you and I, and as well as a lot of people who would never have played it before to be like, hey, what is this game? So, it's one of those things where it's in a vacuum, you won't know until it happens.
Exactly. And
like Half-Life 3, we've been waiting for that sucker forever. What if it comes out and be like, oh.
Right. No, and again, don't get me wrong. I want to know if I would love Left 4 Dead 3. I absolutely do. Left 4 Dead 3 is basically like what Fallout 4, the announcement of Fallout 4 was for me. Like, it was like holy shit, this is it. Bring them all back. Bring back Bill. Bring them all back. I want Bill back.
Bill, Lewis, Zoe, and...
Lewis.
Okay, Bill, Lewis, Zoe, and... Who's the other guy?
Who is the other guy? Ryan, help me out, bro.
Yeah,
help us out.
Anyway, yeah.
Bill, Lewis, Zoe.
Until they tell us who the other guy is. Left 4 Dead, man.
Yeah. And
such a game.
Yeah, and we've played some stuff here and there, since then. I mean, like you said, Mass Effect 3, we played some. We played a little bit of probably like one of my favorite kind of singular moments in a game we didn't play a ton together is Battlefield 1943.
Oh gosh.
Just you trying to
As
get
much
used
as I
to.
played with you guys, like I wish I'd played more.
Yeah, Battlefield 1943 it's just a fantastic little downloadable game. We found out recently that they stopped the servers on that, and you can't play it
Ah,
anymore. And it makes me so sad because that game still is really good. It feels really good. But you taking off in an airplane, not knowing how to control it, and flying to your death in the ocean. Ryan taking off in an airplane and immediately hitting the tower. Just it's awesome. But that's really it. You and I, especially because we kind of went different ways this generation.
Francis.
Francis, that's right. We kind of went different directions with our consoles. We just haven't really played. We've played a little bit of Rocket League together, but really that kind of. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we don't get together to play Rock Band and stuff like that anymore because we have kids and we just don't have the time to
Yep.
do that.
Like Jackbox, I did a little bit of. And
Yeah, I with crossplay becoming a really big thing now, I feel like that, especially with this generation coming up, there's going to be more opportunities for us to do that, and I really
Oh
hope
yeah,
we
yeah.
get to because I think the days of us playing Madden together are over just because we're not really Madden people anymore. But yeah, we've had a really good history of playing stuff
Oh gosh.
together. Um,
So far.
so far. Yeah, and hopefully here in the future we're gonna do that. So that was fun reminiscing about that shit that we played. Um, uh,
God, there was a lot in there that I had completely forgotten
oh
about.
man, so much good stuff. Like just so many announcements. Ryan, you don't believe that. The it it's I'm really glad that where internet gaming became real big, console gaming, this last generation, I guess the previous one, we got some real good shit, good memories from that stuff,
Oh yeah.
and hopefully you guys did too. So with
Thank you for
that,
letting us share with you.
yeah, thank you for letting us talk about us because that's what we do best. So with that, we're gonna go ahead and move on. We're
Wow.
gonna we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next segment. We're making good time, Charlie, like we thought. We're gonna
There's
go
a lot
ahead.
of mail.
A lot of mail, a lot of great questions. And speaking of that, it's time for the mailbag. And if you have any questions for the podcast, you can hit us up in any number of places. You can hit us in the chat. You can hit us up on our streams during the course of the week. Twitch.tv/Charizard81, Twitch.tv/Team Llama Squad. You can hit us up on the Discord. You can hit us up on our Twitters. And you can hit us up on the MC Gamescast at gmail.com. Like I said from the onset, folks, I think we've got some fantastic questions this week. Thank you guys so much for the questions. You guys are awesome. Some really good ones. We got a couple of new questions from new people. Starting with the first one, Sweet Girl 99 sent us a question asking, how the hell do you guys play all those scary games? I'll start, Sweet Girl. I don't play them.
So yeah, gosh, it's rough. But you get this adrenaline rush from playing it, to be honest. You don't know what's going to come around the corner, especially in the newer games. I've yet to play a lot of the newer stuff where it impairs your vision immensely by putting you in situations where you're in the dark or you're just using I mean, you're in the dark, it seems like most of the time, but you're using a little flashlight to kind of just like guide your way through a dark room, which it's probably not safe in there. You're probably even be put in a situation where something's going to jump and grab you, and like, it sucks. Don't get me wrong, but there's this weird like thrill of it that you're just like, okay, like let's get to the next part, and you know there's lots of moments where you die, but
Right.
you overcome it later on, and it's fun. It's fun to be that person being scared. I love watching people play scary games
Mm-hmm.
a lot. Um, Joe Shizzle 23 is playing Resident Evil 3 right this week, so check him out
I watched
at
him play Resident
lunchtime.
Evil 7. Um,
It's Yeah, Resident Evil 7 was a good one because like
oh yeah.
wow, that
Well, and
thing
I
If you love Texas Chainsaw
yeah.
Massacre, that game.
Well, and I'm not a scary games or movie person. I just don't. It's not necessarily because I'm a pussy. I mean, I am, but it's not because of that.
Mark.
I just don't like a lot of tension
Sure.
in my games and movies. But I will say this: talking about Until Dawn, watching Josh play Resident Evil, like it's actually gotten me very excited to play Until Dawn. Like I don't think that I don't think I'm ever going to play Resident Evil 7 because I don't think I can handle first person horror.
Yeah.
But we talked about it the other day on your stream. I kind of want to try Resident Evil 2. Like it looks really like I watched a little bit of it on on another website, and
Well, there's two paths to that game, man. Just tell me which one you're going. I'll go the other
I
one.
mean it won't be for a while, but yeah, the there are just people that enjoy that tension. There's people that get an adrenaline rush by fear. So
Also
like,
this.
and I get it. I get the people that don't obviously I get it because I'm not one of those people. But I totally understand the people that don't like that anxiety.
Yeah. I'll say this. There is a point, like, I've seen people play Amnesia and other games of that ilk that are like
What's the one you want me to play?
Outlast,
Yeah.
where it's just to a point where you're just like, yeah, I can't go down that path with you. Even watching it to the point where I'm just like, you know what? Even watching it from a spectator's position, that's not for me.
Yeah.
Um, but there are games like that out there. I mean, there's some people. I think, what was it? Your friend or whatever. Like he was able to play all these scary games just because he was able to like not suture himself into that character,
Yeah.
right? And he's just
Yeah.
like, whatever, chewing bubble gum while this guy's getting dissected, like,
Well,
on screen.
and like the horror games that are all about jump scares,
Oh yeah,
I to me I think that's cheap and it's not interesting. Um I'm okay with games doing that, but when it's the whole like Five Nights at Freddy's, shit like that, like
well,
that,
that's based upon a scare, like a jump scare
yeah,
mechanic.
and I just
Like,
don't
could you
care.
play something like Slender Man?
No, I don't think so because I think there's just too much tension. Like I don't like stuff where there's too much unknown. You know,
Yeah.
like I tried Silent Hill 2 on the PS2 back in the day.
Oh,
I was able to get out of the forest park and into the city. The first time one of
there you
those
go.
creepy little guys came out of I was like, fuck it, I'm out. And I went back to Madden. So
Turning it off.
turning it off, never getting back into it again. So like the more tense the game is, the less likely I'm gonna be to play it. And there just comes a line where I'm just not gonna and Nico's right. It's gonna be interesting because I know Until Dawn there's a lot of tension. So, but also again, and it's not the same as playing it, but watching Josh play Resident Evil, like, and actually watching, like, I don't feel that I don't want to do it.
Sure.
Feeling that I normally get with, again, I'm not going to play Resident Evil 3, but like I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to do Until Dawn. I kind of want to try Resident Evil 2. Like, you know me, Charlie. Like a month ago, there's no way I would have said that. But just kind of seeing some of that stuff and just kind of, with this, and of course the streaming thing helps too because it's like, oh, I want to try something new and interesting that might be interesting to viewers. So yeah, it's I don't know, like I understand why
And I
people
think
like it.
also doing it while on streaming, there's this sense that like there's a community watching you, that there's this presence, I believe, that they're just like they're trying to will you to be like, okay, you can do this,
Sure.
you can do it. And there's also this kind of like, I don't want to say pressure, but lack of a better term, it's like say, I don't want to stop because I don't want to disappoint who's watching this.
Sure, but
There is
also
definitely a threshold where that's going to just completely
but
break.
but also
But
I think it's also the idea of, even though they're not there, there's people riding shotgun with you too, that I
yeah, that's
think
what I
is going to
mean.
help
Yeah,
me. And like I told you, I don't think I would play Until Dawn just by myself.
sure.
But if people are interested in me doing it, egging me on, keeping me going, I don't think I would have an issue with it. And
Oh,
I'm seriously looking forward to
so
October and doing
excited.
this. Yeah, it's going to be great. Real quick, I want to get this question in because Sturm asked it in the chat. He asked, "Who's the alpha male, Mario or Luigi?"
Mario.
Yeah, I mean it's Mario. But
All the
also,
games are
but
named Mario.
but also, I think that Luigi is not as much of a pussy as he lets on.
No, no, he can hold his own. I mean,
Sturm,
he
you're
goes
right.
through a freaking mansion and destroys. Uh,
Sturm, you're right. But the Mario fucks the princess, so
the Mario gets cut.
at least in my storyline, he does. While Luigi sits in the corner in Jerry Falwell Jr.'s. So anyway, thank you, Sturm, for that. Let's get going before we get this. Let's get going before this gets way too long. Let's go to Nico. I love this question because we have never talked about this in our 8 episodes. What's your favorite portable console, or I guess portable
Ooh.
handheld system? First of all, were you a big handheld person?
Um, I tried to be.
Hmm.
My parents thought that I was like, well, you have this gaming system. Why take gaming with you? To the point where I fought them about it and convinced them eventually. And instead of getting the Game Boy, I got the Game Gear, which, boy, you want to talk about a battery suck. Um, I mean, like, it wasn't my go-to, but
Hmm.
like, if I had it, it was fine. I guess my favorite, if to answer the question, would probably be the DS. I never had the 3DS. I never had the Switch. And I'm not going to count my Wii U.
Yeah,
That cool little
you
Wii
can't
U.
count the Switch either.
Hey,
Nico,
that cool little Wii U.
yeah, Nico made it clear that we can't count the Nintendo Switch.
No. The DS, because one, like, it had some really, really good games on there. I love the Professor Layton games.
Oh yeah.
Just anything to, like, stimulate my brain cells a little bit.
Mm.
And it had one of the best Grand Theft Auto games, China Wars
Oh yeah.
or Chinatown or
China,
whatever.
yeah, Chinatown Stories.
Yeah, but that was
Um,
really, really good unto itself, and like what it could do with its, the little technology that it had. The storyline was excellent. So
yeah. So mine is not obviously the best one, but I actually we agree with Sturm. It's the Game Boy Color. It's definitely the one I
okay.
played the most. It's I mean everything from the Mario Land series to the Pokemon games to they even had a version of Donkey Kong Country, which is a fine game, as you know. Um, and Sturm's right; it had all those attachments. I don't know. There was something about the game. It's definitely the one I played the most. And I did own a Game Boy Advance, which is not the early Game Boy Advance is not a great handheld. They made it better once they added a backlight to it, and of course the DS and 3DS are fine systems. But my heyday of portables was absolutely the Game Boy Color era,
Okay.
um, and I mean I had a Game Boy Color. I had an original Game Boy, the big clunky brick one with the green screen.
Oh
I
yeah.
had a Game Boy Pocket. I had a Game Boy Color, and I had the Super Game Boy for the Super Nintendo. So I was all about Game Boy
Boy,
back in the
you're
day.
Mr. Game Boy.
Yeah. So I think it's the Game Boy Color. Yeah, the GBA, the later incarnations of the GBA were good. The original, not as much. But Nintendo, long line of great portables, including their latest, the Nintendo Switch. Let's move on. We got a question here from Rydog. If you could take one character from a game or series and put him into another game or series, who would it be, and what game would you put him in?
Oh my God. That's so loaded of a question.
Would you like me to give you mine so kind of get your juices flowing? I would take Rex from Mass Effect, and I would make him Otacon in Metal Gear. Always talking to Snake and being like, Snake, you got to go infiltrate Shadow Moses, Snake. That's what I would do.
Oh man.
What game are you putting Kratos in, Charlie?
I'm not gonna pick Kratos. One of the funniest characters I ever came across was in KOTOR. HK.
Oh hell yeah!
The assassin droid.
The assassin droid, yeah.
He hated everyone. He called everybody meatbags.
Mm-hmm.
Even you. You were the owner meatbag. And God, I'd put him probably in a game like Fallout, because I know you.
Oh yeah,
that game.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
the android character from 4 was really really good.
Oh, Nick.
Yeah, Nick.
Detective Nick.
Detective Nick.
But what if it was? Good. But what if it was HK?
But what if it was HK?
That's fucking awesome.
A killing machine.
You know what?
Just like relentless.
If you put HK in Fallout 4, I'll play it again. That's a good one. See, I just want to do bits with mine. Because Rex in Metal Gear makes no sense and it's stupid, but fuck it, I love Rex and I love Metal Gear, so fuck it. We got another one from Ryan here. What's the game you rented the most from Blockbuster?
Oh man. Tecmo Super Bowl. I damn near owned that game practically when.
Oh yeah, you probably spent enough to own it.
I played it.
Yeah, mine was definitely Street Fighter 2 Turbo Edition. I bet you I rented that game 10 times at least.
Okay. We owned Street Fighter 2, Super Street Fighter 2. I think we owned Mortal Kombat's 1, 2, and 3. So we had we owned Clay Fighter.
Meh.
Great fighting game. See, that was the thing, like play Vivaldi. We ended up owning a lot of like the SNES games. I know, right? So we had it was the thing where my brother and I, we were just like, I think we would ask for a game and he would ask for a game and just doubled up and eventually built our library that way. But yeah, it would have to be like the NES games, because I remember that, obviously NES was a little more expensive at that time, and
yeah,
Blockbuster was the thing to do and the thing to be in the late 80s and stuff.
Yeah, I definitely rented. I definitely rented more NES games than I did SNES games, but definitely Street Fighter. I mean, I would say probably Mega Man 2 was the one I rented the most from the NES, and then I eventually was able to get my own copy from Toys R Us with my little slip.
Yeah, Smithy Finger says he rented like 4 PS2 games off Blockbuster. I was always weird about renting CD games.
Yeah.
Because it was just like you would get it and it looked like someone used it as like a drink coaster practically half the time.
Yeah.
At least the Blockbuster that I went to.
Sure, I think that's just
half the time,
well, I mean, that was how it was when you were renting DVDs. I mean, were you going to get one that was going to scratch or not? I back in the PS2 era, that's when I was renting so many movies because I had the DVD player in the PS2. Just an endless movie. That was my heyday of movies back then. R.I.P. Blockbuster. Hardly knew you. All right, we got another question from someone we haven't gotten one before. It's our new friend K-Slay.
K-Slay.
This was from our Discord. Thank you guys so much for being in the Discord. We're starting to get pretty big in the Discord, and you guys are awesome. Appreciate you guys supporting us there. What's the game that you really like that others would be very surprised that you liked it? So it's a game either in a genre that you wouldn't normally be in, or maybe a game. I guess it could also be a game that everybody thinks is bad, but you like it. I've got mine. If you want me to go first while you're thinking,
unless you go ahead and go first.
So
because I went first last.
For me, it's the we're gonna go back to the Nintendo GameCube, which has been mentioned a couple times in the chat. That game would be Eternal Darkness. So Eternal Darkness is a game published by Nintendo, developed by Silicon Knights. That is a psychological horror game.
Okay.
Which is a game that I normally don't play, but there is something about Eternal Darkness that I was able to get through and had an incredible time with. They should make another Eternal Darkness. They did some. I don't know if you're too familiar with it, Charlie, with Eternal Darkness, but they did some really neat stuff with like psychological events, breaking the fourth wall. They would do stuff like you would get about, like, say 45 minutes into the game, and you would go up to something and you would go through a door, and then a screen would come up and it would say something along the lines of, "Thank you for playing the Eternal Darkness demo." Stuff like that. Or they would do like the blue screen of death type thing, like where it seemed like your GameCube was malfunctioning. But it was a straight. Was it made by
Hideo?
Oh, right. Yeah, it sounds exactly like a Hideo Kojima thing. But it is a really, really good psychological horror type game. That, again, that's just not my thing, and it hasn't been my thing since. But that's the game where I think if people heard it, they were like, "Really, you? What about you?"
It sucks because, like, I've professed my love for these games several times. You probably already know I'm going to go with this. The Lego games, man.
Oh, like, sure.
Those things are just, it's so laid back. It's a game that I can, my wife doesn't play scary games. My wife doesn't play first-person shooters, but this is a game that we find so much fun to play together. This is a game that we played together while we were dating.
Yeah.
She loves collecting all those glittery little studs while I try to progress through the game, and we have our little fights because she's trying to run one way and I'm falling asleep and constantly walking off a bridge during others. And
right.
It's a lot of fun, and it's very simple, and I prefer the older ones just because, again, Lego gets a little more innovative with their humor, because the older ones, they don't talk. However, I can see where putting voice acting in it has expanded their comedic layout, and it's a lot of fun. It's a really, really fun game to enjoy. It's something that you can play with your kids. I'm more prone to playing games like Doom, horror games, high intense sports games. But you see, if you look at my library and you see a whole bunch of Lego games, you're like, "You play Lego?" I'm like, "Yeah, these are a lot of fun." And we max out those suckers. Like, we 100% everything.
I don't know if it's necessarily surprising that you would like the Lego games. I think where the surprise comes in is that you continue to love the Lego games for how long those have been out, and I guess your deep love for them, I guess, more than anything. But that is a good one. I think that's
their twist on a whole bunch of mediums that you would never think could be in a Lego universe, like Pirates of the Caribbean, Lego Batman, Lord of the Rings. Are you kidding me? Like, let's play Lego. I mean, obviously it all started with Lego Star Wars, so we'll see where it goes. It's like in the Marvel universe and stuff. Oh man, it's endless.
Oh yeah, that's right. They have Lego Rock Band too. I forgot they did a Lego
Yep,
Rock Band.
they did do
Uh,
Lego Rock Band.
yeah, that's so much Lego stuff. All right, let's move on. Charlie, this is actually from you, Charlie. I believe you didn't
Yeah.
put a name to it. I think this is super easy and it's super quick. What you're allowed one cereal the rest of your life? Well, you said rest of your lift.
I know,
That's
yeah. Oh.
you're doing great. You're doing great. Uh, one cereal the rest of your life. I believe Mean Green for me can put in the chat via emote what mine would be. While he's doing that, go ahead and tell me yours.
Well, I came across this cereal not too long ago, and I forgot how much I love this thing. And it's Golden Grams.
Oh yeah, it's good cereal.
It's graham crackers in a bowl
Yeah,
with like, you know, milk.
and honey.
And
Yeah, honey.
you can
Yeah,
eat it dry, you can eat it wet, whatever. I just remember all those times, like, eating that as a kid. And like when I thought about it, I thought about it because like you said, I put this question down. I was like, what cereal? Basically, like this, I'm limited to nothing else. Like this is the one cereal that I'm gonna have basically for the rest of my life.
yeah.
This is the one I think I can like go to bat for.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah, and actually mine is actually kind of Golden Grams adjacent cinnamon toast crunch.
Yeah.
To me it's the best cereal, and it's the one I could definitely eat the rest of my life. And I mean, I like, I've obviously we've got our runners up and everything, but it's cinnamon toast crunch is my favorite cereal, and it's kind of not close for me. So yeah, I'm gonna pick.
Grape nuts, huh?
Hey, grape nuts is good. I like grape nuts. I like Raisin Bran a lot. Raisin Bran is fantastic. Frosted mini wheats is great. But yeah, if we want to talk about cereal the rest of the podcast, I'm fine with that.
I know, right?
Uh,
I'm trying to like, do we move on or do we still talk
we,
about
we, sh-
cereal? Because
we
we could
should
talk a while.
we should we should we should move on. One more thing about cereal. No, we got a good question from Nick. I'm interested to hear what yours is. What's the last book that you completed reading,
Oh wow.
and how long
Um,
ago was that?
so I've reread it. I've reread this book several times.
Okay, go ahead.
It's oh my god, why can't
Okay, it's not what I
the
thought you were gonna say.
the why can't I think of what the book is called? Yeah, you may want to do this for a second while I think about what the
Sure.
name of this book is called.
The last book that I read, stem to stern, was a book called the.
Oh,
I'll go. Let me finish. Okay.
go ahead. Yeah,
Since I'm already there,
sorry.
it's a book called The Post-Mortal. It's by Drew McGarry. You probably know Drew McGarry from now, not anymore, but Deadspin. He's now on Defector. It's a story about it's just a little bit into the future where there is essentially a fountain of youth drug, or a shot that you could take where you can't you can't die of natural causes.
Okay.
And then it's basically about how the world completely collapses after it. It's a very good book. I highly recommend it. Post-Mortal by Drew McGarry. Go ahead, Charlie.
So the reason I got stuck on this because stupid Last Airbender was in my head. I was like, that is not the last book that I read. No, it is. This is one of. It's been professed as one of the greatest sci-fi books of all time, and it's Ender's Game.
Oh, okay.
I've reread this book several times. I've listened to the audio several times. I own the movie. It's a really, really good book. I mean, it's about a young kid who gets recruited into a training program, and he's basically going to be the savior of the world because it's being invaded by aliens and such. And there's this little twist as to what is going on. I won't give it away, but it's a very, very well put together book. It puts in very existential ideas of like, what war is, how we approach an enemy. How No, how we approach an enemy, and as well what their perspective is, because we treat the enemy as like, oh, they're the bad guy just because of our vantage point,
Mm-hmm.
and that may not necessarily be the case. And sometimes these kids are being put into situations where they're just blind fighting and training, and what are they training for? And there's a huge twist in the entire book, which I'm trying to like press onward to it's part of a series, but the first book is so well put together and I've read it so many times. It's just one of those like, feel good, like I've been here. I love where this
Yeah.
part goes, et cetera, et cetera. And sometimes pushing forward into the unknown can be a little more daunting. So
Yeah. Are you reading anything now?
not right now. That's been like the last I'm reading spreadsheets and budgets and
Sure.
putting together adaptive
Breaking news.
cap.
This is going to be breaking news for me. You wouldn't expect this. I'm reading the John Lennon biography right now.
No way.
Yeah, right. It's very good so far.
Good.
Yeah, it's very good. It's really, there's a lot of pages. It's going to take a while.
A lot of pages.
All right, we got another one here. This one came from you, Charlie. I did tweak it a little bit. And so we are going to bring it back to sports. Sports. And we've actually done this hypothetical a little bit here and there. Ryan, I know we've done it with you too. So would you rather try to catch a pass over the middle in an NFL game, basically going up against a linebacker or a hard-hitting safety, hit a 100-mile-per-hour fastball off an MLB pitcher, or attempt to stop a 100-mile-an-hour one-timer slap shot from an NHL player? Which one would you want to try?
None.
Yeah.
I think we've come to the consensus that it's like you have to pick one of these things.
You do.
Oh boy.
I think the one that I would try in terms of the one that I'd be least scared of is probably the pitch.
It depends on who the pitcher is.
Well, yeah, I mean, if it's fucking Vincente Padilla.
Randy Johnson.
Yeah. I think that's the one where I wouldn't be comfortable with any of them, but I think that's the one where I think I could stand in the box. Like, you watch the one timer that won the game for the Stars last night, and you're like, that thing was 105 miles, and there's no way that I would. Yeah. So I think that's the one I would try. Which is the one that you would try?
See, I have to agree with you here. Just because, so we watched NHL is so recent, just seeing that from last night. And then watching like 3 nights ago where the goalie took a slap shot right in the neck and just left this giant whelp right here. He stopped a shot with his neck.
And it stuck to his neck? Oh, it was horrible.
And so, like you said, like I would damn near have to hope that like the MLB pitcher is about as competent as possible. Catching a pass over the middle in an NFL game is just damn right suicidal.
Okay, so on that note, which of the three, take out your comfortability of trying it, which do you think of the 3 you could actually successfully accomplish? I think this is easy.
I think honestly, like, successfully accomplish.
I think it's being a hockey goalie. Because you just have to put your body in front of it.
Yeah, but boy,
now I think that because you're not hitting a pitch off, you're not getting a hit on a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. You'll never catch up to it. And if you get hit by a linebacker, if you get hit by a Ray Lewis, you're dead. You're not holding on to the ball.
Here's the thing, though, with stopping like a 100-mile-an-hour slap shot, though. These players can like hit the post at will.
Sure.
Yeah. Like trying to stop a soccer ball from like scoring a goal is one thing.
Sure.
But like, take that soccer ball and decrease it by like, 95%, make it travel even faster, and then put yourself on like I'd be horrible on ice. Like I have no ice skating skills whatsoever. I would have to
No,
luck
you
in
and
a slap
but
shot
that's the thing.
block.
You're it's the one that you're most likely to get lucky on because yes, you're not gonna. Nick is right. You're not gonna see the puck, but
Sure,
the percentage that the puck is going to hit you
sure.
somewhere on your body is higher than you taking a bat and hitting a ball
Oh,
coming at you 100 miles an hour and you taking a hit from a 245-pound
well, here's the thing.
linebacker.
The question is try to catch a pass over the middle in an NFL game.
Yeah, you have to
If
catch
you
it.
could run like an offensive screen,
Well, sure. Well,
you can catch
that's why your goal
you can
line
catch a
thing.
ball.
That's why I changed it because the original question was could you get a yard on the goal line or a 4th and 1? If you have a
Sure,
good offensive line, you can fall into a first down.
sure. Well, then
But
I would rather try to catch a pass over the middle because I would hopefully have my coach design a play where all the traffic kind of like
sure,
attracts them, and they're like, "Who is this guy? I don't even need to guard him."
but
And it's just like a dink and
man,
dunk pass, and then I go.
but the thing is that your slot receivers and such that go over the middle, they have so much more awareness of where players are on the field than we would have.
Oh
We
no,
aren't
like
seeing that. We're not seeing Ray Lewis come over the middle, especially
I
if he's
think
wearing
that
the white suit.
I think I could catch the pass.
Oh,
I could
sure.
die. I would die
But
immediately.
you wouldn't hold on to the ball. You would fumble that shit or it'd be an
Exactly.
incomplete. Um,
Stopping a 100-mile-an-hour slap shot, I
yeah.
don't think I could do that.
No.
Especially if it's a precision like player, like who
Yeah.
knows how to spot all those openings or whatever, and me falling down over and over again on the ice because I could
Yeah.
not. Again, I don't know how to skate, so that's just
No,
me.
I don't either. I mean, yeah. I mean, you would sit there and you would the guy would be starting to come
I
up with
would
the
literally
puck
be
and you'd be like,
still.
"Oh god," and you would slip and fall and you'd be dead. You're done.
Like I would be still just praying that he misses a shot and it would
Yeah.
hit like somewhere.
Right. Yeah. It's yeah. That's a fun question. Final question. Ryan says that he
That's right. Me has been hit.
Ryan says this is a joke question, so you don't. He doesn't think that you have to answer it. I will because I don't give a shit. Well, or in this
Oh,
case, I do give a shit. When was the last time you crapped your pants?
well, you know this story.
I do.
This is a long time ago. God, was it 2004
This has college ties.
when this happened? Um, yeah, I was on my way to work and I just like, it's one of those things where you're just like driving and you're just like, I got a little gas back there.
Uh huh.
Gotta let it out.
And it was more.
Let's just say like that engine had some cars behind it. Had a tender, and so I immediately had to turn around
Yep.
and go change my pants.
Yep. Mine is.
Thankfully, I was like only like 5 minutes away from the
Yep.
house.
Mine was kind of similar. I wasn't going.
Sharp is
I
what it
wasn't.
was.
Mine was worse because I was 5 feet from the toilet when I did this. I was laying in bed, and
Oh,
my then wife was sleeping next to me, and so I'm laying there on my phone or reading or whatever, and I'm like, oh, I got a fart, and I did it, and it wasn't that. So I did it, and the second that it happened, I got up, ran to the bathroom, of course. Well, I came back, and I had to wake up the former missus because it had bled through the garment I was wearing. So can you imagine someone being dead asleep, being woken up and told you have to get up because I shit the bed, and
did
not
you do that
because,
in California?
huh?
Did
No.
you do that in California?
Oh no, at the Albertsons.
No, the California King that
Oh
you
no,
were
no,
asleep
no.
for.
Yeah, which I don't even know happened. No, that was not that. But Ryan, you're not wrong. Anyway, folks, that's the mailbag for the week. Thank you guys for the questions. Really good questions this week. I enjoyed all of those. Charlie, those were good ones that you submitted. I might have to slip in my own. Maybe we'll do a hypothetical so we can completely crash down the stream like that one day on yours. But anyway, folks, that's gonna do it for the mailbag, and so we're gonna move on to our last segment of the podcast, which that last segment of the podcast is this. And now it's time for Tuesday Night Scatter Shooting with your host, Charlie Zarsuela, right here on the MC Gamescast. Take it away, Charlie.
Yes. Before I go with scatter shooting, Mitch, you got your wish. The Islanders just won.
Yes!
So there will be a game 6.
Excellent.
Leaving the Dallas Stars
2 extra days.
still not going home. Anyway, so scatter shooting. Whatever happened to the LAN party?
Ah, yes.
Remember that?
Yes.
You had to take a huge duffel bag full of cables,
and computer,
console or PC tower, carry your happy ass over to your friend's house, reset up everything, make sure your IP addresses are all
in sync,
together to play whatever happy ass multiplayer was. Oh, good times.
Taking your
you will never know.
Taking your PCs to conventions to do big LAN parties.
Gosh, yeah.
QuakeCon.
Oh man, kids, you just don't know. Anyway, so with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 news from earlier, I began to ponder the games that sold exceptionally well throughout the years, breaking records faster than Mario could collect coins. Halo was one of those generational games that made you pray to the gods and sacrifice livestock for the sequel. Even with the troubled production, Halo 2 had a then record breaking 1.5 million copies pre-ordered. Then it finally dropped in November of 2004. It had sold 2.4 million and earned $125 million in 24 hours.
Jeez.
You know, only 25 million above Microsoft's initial projection.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah. It eventually cleared more than 8 million copies. Of course, we can't speak of 2 without Halo 3, which beat Halo 2 by, $45 million more in gross. So much money. Anyway, Pokemon was initially released in Japan in 1996. It came to North America in early fall of 98. 15 years later, after smashing record upon record, the Pocket Monsters were up for Japan and North American release again for the 3DS. At 4 million units in its first weekend, Pokemon Platinum blasted previous black and white version initial sales by 70%. Until Pokemon X and Y sold 4 million in 2 days 4 years later. And then Pokemon Sword and Shield sold 6 million during their launch weekend in 2019.
Yep.
Gotta catch them all is what the producers are saying, referring to all the money ever made in the history of man. Final Fantasy is one of those names that definitely has a lot of volume to its financial accolades. But how fast is it? Released on November 29, 2016, it topped 5 million copies on its first day. 5 million copies.
Yep.
Uno day.
One day.
Apparently, Black Friday sales are not just for us folks in the States. But it appears nothing has yet to eclipse the speed and size of the greatness of Rockstar Games.
Yep.
Red Dead Redemption 2 and GTA 5 hold the top 2 spots for largest grossing entertainment launches. GTA 5 clocking it at 1 billion with a B. B as in boy.
B.
In retail sales, with Red Dead Redemption 2 tallying in at 725 million in a little over 3 days. And with the days laid in thereafter and the continuing online ventures for both titles still running quite strong, God, that's a shit ton of money.
All the money. All the money.
Speaking of GTA 5, it falls in at third best-selling game of all time. However, Nintendo can claim 5, some would say 6, of the top 10 spots, according to an article in May. So running down the top 10, you had number 10, you had Diablo 3 with 30 plus in millions, of course. These are all in millions, by the way. Number 9, you had Wii Sports Resort with 33.09. Number 8, which is weird, Mario Kart Wii with 37 million.
Wow.
The original Tried But True Super Mario Brothers with 40 plus million. You had Pokemon Red, Blue, Green, and Yellow coming at 6 at 45 plus million. Your favorite game, PUBG, 50 plus million.
Hell yeah.
Number 4, you had Wii Sports with 82.86 million. And then you have the bronze GTA 5, 110 plus million copies. The runner-up, oh my God, I cannot believe the runner-up, Minecraft with 200 plus copies. And then the number one spot, and the reason I say that, Nintendo can semi-claim this, is Tetris with 500 plus copies. The reason I say that because Tetris has been on several different mediums. And finally, I got a little 6-shooter for you here. So just prepare yourself. I was so upset when I accidentally bought a broken Nintendo console. How upset was I? So upset I had to get a Wii fund. All right. I recently broke up with my video game console. Now it's my Xbox. My friend asked me why my cats are so good at video games. So I told him it's because they have 9 lives. I tried to teach my pet dog how to play video games. Oh, God, but his paws kept stopping him.
Go on.
Do you ever play the game Minecraft? I heard people who play Minecraft can't even think outside the box.
Uh-huh.
And finally, what is Adrian Peterson's favorite video game console? The Switch.
This has been Tuesday Night Scatter Shooting with your old pal Charlie Zarzuela, who will now never do scatter shooting again, right here on the MC Gamescast. God bless it. That was terrible. Just terrible. I love it.
I win.
You win. You win. All right, folks. Fantastic job, Charlie, as usual.
Great job to yourself, man.
You're we always lift that bar a little bit for each other for the next week. I guess I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to come up with a 20 shooter next week. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it for this episode of the MC Gamescast. Thank you guys so much for enjoying the podcast live. We had a great crowd tonight. Thank you guys so much for being there. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for all of the questions you gave us. We'll be back next week with another edition talking about that Sony press conference tomorrow. Charlie, you'll be on Thursday playing some NCAA football. Maybe. And then maybe.
I might have a surprise.
Okay, excellent. That's fantastic. I'll be back tomorrow with a little bit of Rocksmith 2014, and then Friday probably some more marbles, and of course Charlie on Sunday coming back with something new. I would assume. I believe that's going to be. Is that going to be RE2?
Maybe.
Excellent. Well, excellent, folks. So go to twitch.tv/Charizard81 for that. Twitch.tv/Team Llama Squad for my streams. Josh Shizzle 2323 for his streams. For Charlie Zarzuela, I'm Mitchell Barrett. Have a great week, folks.
Bye-bye. Stars.
Goodbye, everybody. We're not going home.